So here's what's going to be happening in the next patch. Next patch is looking decent. 80s might go kind of hard. Gnar 3 damage. That's a big deal for a lane bully like Gnar. Because you pick Gnar to beat early game and bully people with early. So extra 3 damage per auto attack. It's going to stack. So yeah, this is like very, very beneficial. It seems like a small thing because if you do this, if you do the math, it's like 100 gold worth, which is still decent. 100 gold every game from level 1. Seems small, but it's insane, especially on a character who has like a double abilities and he has 80 scaling on all of them. So yeah, I think this is gonna buff up Gnar like so insanely. Like if he's B tier, he goes instantly A tier, obviously. We got a next one, which is J4 buff. I don't understand why the they're doing this one. This is so stupid. J4 biggest strength is the fact that his baseline is so strong. He's got stronger baseline than almost any character in the game. The base stats, the scaling, all of it is incredible. That's why I can play AP Jarvan and nobody bats an eye. It's still good. Giving him passive damage, a health ratio increase per 7% current HP to 8%. Yeah, this is kind of nutty. It's just buffing his baseline even more. So J4 is already really strong. It's gonna make him great. I don't know why this is necessary at all. I'd like to hear the reasoning on this one. Okay, we got Jax buffs. On hit base damage increase for 60 to 160, 60 to 180. So they're increasing his late game. Our bonus armor per target hit 15 to 25 to 20 to 30. This is a flat out buff, not even late game. Like a level 6 buff essentially. And it's a massive one. In a 1v2, that's like extra 10 armor, so that's pretty decent. Yeah, they just want J4 in prio for worlds, I guess. Rell nerf, E bonus movement speed 12 to 20, 12 to 16. I don't fucking understand why Rell is this much movement speed in the first place. It's ridiculous. Stupid thing to have in the first place. So nerf is always welcome. Bloodthirster nerf. So yeah, the difference is not that big in early game, later on slightly bigger, but 3% lifesteal difference. I don't think it's like a that massive difference. If you need it, you will still probably be buying it for the same exact reasons. It's just gonna be slightly less efficient. So it doesn't like get the item out of rotation. I think that's a decent nerf because again, in a dire scenario, you will still build it for the same exact reason. And it doesn't ruin the games where you got fed early. Because I feel like the current iteration, if you get fed on Draven early game, nobody gets to play. Because you're just go this and like, no, you don't take damage, right? So I think that's reasonable. Okay, now here we go into the ranged fucking things. Everything range gets nerfed, basically. Heal change from 320 to 720. So a lot better early on, but worse later on. But shield is now reduced to 80% for range. So it's a big nerf, but it got compensated for 80 to be a tiny buff. Because 20 in the late game means nothing, but 80 in the mid game means a lot. So this got buffed in early or in mid game for melees, but nerfed for range. And that's a common theme of this entire patch. This entire patch is anti-AD carry, and you'll see why later on. I didn't even see the Luden's change. Let's see, what is this? Good. I like this. Okay, I actually like this. Did I talk with Riot Games in my sleep, or what the fuck happened? And this one also is like identity based. This is identity based. This is identity based. Like they're designing items to have identity. It's actually very fucking clever. They're creating distinctions between the items because right now we have 4 items that are pretty much all the same because they made them into an amalgam of everything. It loses haste. I don't even know why the fuck this had 25 haste. I have no idea. I thought it was a shit idea initially, and it makes no sense. Why a burst item that's designed for hitting targets after you wave clear for the extra damage, poke, has extra fucking haste? This should give you like 10 haste in my opinion, but more damage. So whatever, they're carving out more an identity for it. Cost reduced. Okay, so we get 50 value. We get 50 value on the cost here. We lose haste, which is fictional anyway. It doesn't really matter that much for the purposes of the item, because the item purpose is to burst people, not to like spam and wave clear. And that should be for different items. And AP increased from 95 to 100, which is also 100 gold value. So it gets 150 gold value to lose 5 haste. Very good shuffle, like with the purpose of creating an identity for an item. I love it. I respect it, right? Now, if you have a Hve, you can punch a lot harder, but it's going to be less utility because you don't want this to be as utility efficient as, let's say, building tier. If you want to go Seraphs, it should be more utility than this. Seraph should definitely give you more CDR than this, right? That's the idea. That's why Hve players always rush Seraphs, because you just get everything with it and you get the safety, and like you don't have a choice, because if you go for this, it gives you extra like 3% burst damage, right? It needs to have more bursts for it to be appealing in order to risk your safety in high elo. This is a big change, and then after this, my favorite change. Okay, so this is a big change. Again, there are 2 components here, 2 nerfs, 2 buffs. So AP reduced to 120 to 115, that's 100 gold value, and dot bonus damage reduced from 30 to 25%. That's on like the crit thing here, but HP threshold increased from 35% to 40%. Okay, now hear me out. This might counteract this one somewhat, because if you hit somebody when they're in 45%, you lower them to 40, it's gonna do the damage on dot increase, whereas before it wouldn't, which means your dot would do more damage than before, but compared to this one, it might equalize out. Now, depending on like how much of HP target has when you hit it, right? This one kind of counteracts this one somewhat, but given that this is gonna work for other abilities as well, not just the dots, I think it's better to have this than this. And they're stealing logic from the cut down. That's why I realized how powerful HP percentages are. When we're talking about cut down, I thought 50% is broken, or 60%. I thought 60% is a bit broken on cut down. I thought 65% would make sense on cut down. They put it 60 and they buffed it to 50, and then they nerfed it to 60 because like it's ridiculous. And that's why they're only upping it by 5%. They're upping it a little bit here because they know how powerful that extra 5% can be. Dot damage probably wouldn't matter that much, especially with this, and this increases the other tank. And 5 AP generally convert into 3 pen. I think that's worth it as well. Because again, carving more of an identity, penetration and bursts, squishy destruction, one-shotting people at 40% threshold. That's the name of the game. That's the theme. This will be a slight buff, in my opinion. But because they're buffing this, it is a bit of a bigger buff, because usually pen items, when you buy them, they're added multiplicatively, kind of, because you buy all of them together, generally speaking. You're gonna be if you're stacking them all, right? Because if you buy this 3 pen is a lot better, because this is not 12 to 15, by the way. This is your boots plus this 15, because you're generally gonna have boots, so that's gonna be 30 instead of like the shitty 27, right? So yeah, basically that's decent. Good change, and this is my favorite one. Dot means damage over time. That means like the burn from brand, line race, all of those are damage over time. Yeah, Vel'Koz ult is not a dot. Anyway, Stormsurge changes. These are the big ones. Range damage increase from 90 to 100. Okay, so we're fully back on the range. Fully back. Damage threshold reduced from 35 to 25, which makes this so much more reliable to proc. 35% of tank, it's almost unproccable. When you see a deer and you do a full combo and he does a one shield, you don't even do 35%. Like, you just don't scratch him. So this makes it so much more reliable. It's going to be a poking tool right now, which is perfect, okay? Move speed reduced, obviously, because it would be way too broken. And magic pen increase from 10 to 15. You know what this means? The maximum total of magic penetration you can achieve is no longer 37, but with Shadowflame it's 40, but with this it's 45. Okay, so we just went from 37 to 45 penetration, all in one patch, which means you get extra 8 magic penetration. And let's say somebody has 45 MR. You will basically do 10% more damage to squishies if you buy both of these. And this is massive. Like, imagine Vel'Koz support rushing Stormsurge, which is, again, identity-based change on an item. When I saw this item coming out in PB, if you remember, I had videos. I had videos on this. Stormsurge has always been a cool item, and I wish I could use it more. Yes, Naturus, exactly. I thought so too, because it had distinct identity when it was designed. Then it went live, got nerfed 7 times, and lost all of its identity and became shit. I spammed it on PB before it got out, and it was brilliant. And this is the proper way to bring the item back into the game. It doesn't do that crazy damage on the burst, right? It's not gonna make it, it's not gonna like break the game, but it's gonna be a lot more reliable in what it's intended to do. So now the new build for Vel'Koz support will be, you rush Stormsurge, first item, and then you buy Sork boots. That's the build. You get 30 pen early game, and then you get Shadowflame for 45. And this is gonna work with itself. Like this works with the boots. This works with Shadowflame. This will also crit if procced below 40% instead of 35% now. The extra penetration is going to apply to the damage of this and to all of the rest of the damage. You pair this up with Dark Harvest, and the Dark Harvest is also going to crit with Shadowflame. All of this combined is going to be a wonderful poke Roman mage identity and support. So I love this. I can't wait to play this shit. And you might think this is broken. This is what people thought initially, but people don't understand how easy mage items are to counter. You buy one null magic mantle and you kill like half of your build. If you buy the Negatron cloak, you kill the entire fucking build. But I see why Riot has to deal with it, because the way the solo queue works and low velo works, people don't buy defensive items ever really, so they have no idea how to deal with it. So they never buy counteracting items, which I don't care. I don't frankly care. I don't want to cater to low velo just because they don't press an active or don't counter build items. Building items correctly should be a skill set. And the one that actually knows how to buy a 400 gold item that breaks your build, that guy should climb. I think that's how it should be. I don't think we should cater to people just because they forget to buy defensive items. Now we're going into the sequence of nerfs for ranges. Attack speed reduced from 30 to 30, but move speed changed from 20 to 30 melee, 15 on ranged. Range nerf, melee buff. 35-minute damage reduction increased from 75 to 85%. This is on the mid lane, by the way. Yeah, the damage was piss anyway. Now it's going to be even more piss. I like it because it slows the game down. Anything that slows the game down, I like. I generally like. This is a massive buff for ADs. Healing on range 60%. Base heal increased from 5 to 100 to 10 to 130. Meaning in early game, like, this is so sick for melees. Minion healing change 15% to 15% flat, but melee move speed increased to 20%. So yeah, it's gonna be fucking insane for melees right now. Nerf for mages. That's a big change, big change. I love it. I can't wait for the new items. I really can't wait for the new items.